And so, welcome to today's video. And after living for 3 months in Belarus, I want to share with you, let's say, 5 points. 5 things you need to keep in mind. Some are more casual, some are more serious if you want to come, if you want to travel to Belarus. Cruise around on a bike on a warm summer's day. Definitely a must-do in Belarus. But the first thing we're going to talk about, I'm going to get back to the apartment. We have to take care of some legal stuff. Well, of which, if you might not do it, you might get into quite some trouble here. So let's talk about it. Filming today 5 things not to do when you come to Belarus.
Not to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now here in the apartment, probably one of my favorite ones so far. And you know, the biggest thing I would say not to do, the biggest thing to keep in mind as of right now. So if you're gonna, let's say, Google like travel to Belarus, there's gonna be some, let's say, rather negative reviews in terms of like, hey, the visa process is quite painful and long, and last year they actually changed it. Now you can come for 30 days visa free with many passports, but so here you need to register yourself. If you stay in a hotel, they're gonna do it for you. If you stay in an Airbnb like me, you need to do it yourself. So as of for now, we're going to the office again. I've been here for 3 months, moving around, so I'm almost like, let's say, a constant weekly customer of this place. And the second thing as of right now, I'm gonna have breakfast. If you come to Belarus, definitely don't miss out on trying some of the local stuff. Obviously, being a little bit part of my cultural background, I'm already familiar with most of it, but especially being here, personally had a lot of pelmeni and bought some buckwheat, some grechka. Have it in the kitchen right now. Actually, needed to cook it up for the past few weeks. We're like moving around. We always having food with us, so as of right now, I'm leaving in 3-4 days. So trying to just, let's say, finish up the stacked up food. Let's see. Eggs here. When I was growing up, I didn't like buckwheat that much. Mom was always making it. And now I realize that in the West, in Germany, it's like a freaking superfood. You go to like an organic store and pay €5 for it. Here, more like 50 cents. With me, but let's go through a few more points. So do not expect Belarus to be, let's say, super cheap, if you will, super affordable. You know me, if you have watched some of my videos, I like to, let's say, showcase how you can travel on a smaller budget, still have an amazing time. And you definitely can do that here, as in actually most places if you have the right mindset. But I have to say, my view is a little bit biased. I've been here during, let's say, the COVID times, and the apartments, like this amazing apartment also right now, have been quite low. And for that, I really spend not that much money. But if you talk grocery shopping, if you talk, let's say, going out, restaurants, bars, it's definitely less than in Western Europe, but it's a little bit more than, for example, you could say maybe in Ukraine. But I gotta say also, most of the time I spent in Minsk, I did see a difference going out into smaller cities, into maybe the provinces. Obviously, that's gonna be much more affordable, but just a thing when I always talk about how affordable, how cheap it is, just to keep in mind. Minsk itself, the city, is in many cases quite modern, and that's also what you're gonna have to pay. Okay, number 3, talking about Minsk, talking about different cities. Don't just stay in one place. If you come around here, if you happen to be here for, let's say, maybe more than just a day or 2, take the train. First of all, taking a train, absolutely amazing experience. Next to that, the whole country is not that big. You can get 2, 3, maybe 5 hours to most of the bigger city. Me, myself, I've been in Brest, very historical city, cool vibe. I was there on a sunny day, really enjoyed it, kind of did a day trip. Took a night train on the way back. You can watch a video about that. Also been to Grodno. There I gotta say, during the COVID times, have been very quiet. Cannot really judge, but I hear a lot of good stuff about it as well. So if you happen, let's say, to be here a little bit longer, don't just stay in one place, especially because Minsk, as much as I liked it and it surprised me, it is very different from other cities. So if you have some time, check it out as well. Number... what is it at this point? Yeah. Okay, my number 4. Do not be too afraid for your safety. And with the emphasis on, let's say, too afraid. A lot of people have a hard time when they look at Belarus. Sometimes in the news it's being portrayed as the last dictatorship in Europe. And you might think, what is going on? They're being here. And see how chill it is for the most part. And what I mean by that is if you go out in the evenings, even late into the night, you see girls, high heels, all dressed up, going often by themselves through the cities. Me, myself, being here for 3 months, there was not a single situation where I was like, ooh, these guys are a little... Of course, you have some guys maybe popping the vodочка in the corners. That obviously happens. But I gotta say, if I compare it to some Western big cities, I felt much more comfortable here. There's a little bit more police presence. You see police cars driving around quite a lot, so I think they definitely enforce safety here as well. I had a lot of friends from other countries also coming over, and this is kind of like what they experience as well. Talking mostly about Minsk city center, being here for 3 months. Not a single time I had to worry about anything, and I think number 5 is with most, let's say, Eastern post-Soviet countries. Don't come here expecting to just get by with English. I gotta say, Minsk is definitely one of those cities where it is on the higher end of, let's say, people speaking a good amount of English. So being in Minsk, I definitely saw a good amount of people here in the capital speaking English. So you might get by, but what I actually think is really cool, I've met many tourists from the West, from the UK, Germany, that actually make an effort when they travel here to learn some Russian, or actually even to a certain level where they can communicate, because it is definitely going to be a little bit harder to not just get by, but actually to arrive, to maybe meet some people, form some relationships. And for that, I would definitely say in Minsk you will get by. If you're gonna go out of Minsk, it's gonna be a very hard time. So at least maybe the basic gist of Russian, get used to a certain way that sometimes if you're standing at a cashier, if you're standing at a post-Soviet, let's say, ticketing lady, and sometimes it can be a little bit rougher with you, and especially if you don't speak the local language, you might be just like, oh, what's happening here? But then it just gets some time to get used to it, and maybe even putting on a smile, and every once in a while getting a little smile out of the lady behind the counter as well. And now, before I'm gonna head out, some bonus points. Extremely important here in Minsk. Always hold the doors when you exit the subway. It can get quite windy and you might... Okay, right now I would say it's time for the night program. We, let's say, washed ourselves up, changed into some nicer attire, and right now actually we've been living right over there for a few weeks, and there's a nice restaurant. Now they have a little bit of a terrace going on. We're gonna go over there, maybe have a shisha and kick off the night. For me, actually, this is, how do you say it? It's not the last night, it's the night before the last night, so you gotta live it as if it would be the last one. How you can go out without drinking is by playing the social game where one person And so that was another little insight from my life in Belarus. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I personally had a great day. If you're new here, my name is Danny. I share, let's say, my life around traveling, around my lifestyle, and the things that allow me to live that life. If you're interested more in that, check out my second channel as well. And we're gonna see each other very soon.